Peace and blessings. This is Armenia Ingram, your spiritual clarity doula. We're all on the path to spiritual growth and development. Why didn't my pastor tell me this at church? I grew up in a church like most of you all that are listening to the sound of my voice. We grew up in a setting where we went to church on Sundays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and oftentimes my past, what I remember is playing and talking to my friends and having fun. That was what church was for me. And then as I got older, listening to the message. And now, many years later, I am like, why didn't they tell me this in church? And the first point, why didn't they tell me this in church, is one, God is as close to you as your jugular vein. That's what I was told at church. But what I wasn't told, that my success is as close to me as my jugular vein. That my relationship with myself needs to be as close to me as my jugular vein. Like, my jugular vein is, you got like jugular veins, they're in your neck. And they're like attached from the base of your neck and up, right? On either side. And I'm like, I looked up what jugular vein was. And I'm like, okay, so God is as close to me as my jugular vein. So why wasn't I told that my success, my abundance is as close to me as my own jugular vein? And that the past, that the reason why I was blocked in the abundance that I was getting, and how come things didn't happen, how come I wasn't successful in my life, it was like, okay, you're failing to assimilate your past events in your life. I wasn't told that either. And it's like, well, you need to let it go. But I wasn't told how to let it go. And the second thing is like, well, give it to God. And so, but what I wasn't told is that if I'm supposed to give it to God, and God is as close to me as my jugular vein, then I'm actually giving the problem to myself in order to have the solution, in order to illuminate and make aware and make known the solution so that I can let it go. They didn't tell me in church that I already knew the solution, that the solution and the answer to my prayers were as close to me as my jugular vein. That those painful experiences that I had in my life were not meant to linger. That I could step in and out of a situation without that situation becoming the lens in which I see my life. Have you all ever had that happen to you, where you're somewhere and someone is guiding you, someone in an authoritative position in the community, right? Somebody who has been appointed as the quote unquote authority of this teaching or that teaching, and they didn't necessarily tell you that the unprocessed emotions haven't gone anywhere. They're just deeper inside of you. That your unprocessed emotions are as close to you as your jugular vein. Look it up. Look up what jugular vein is, and where it is. And that in order to get clear on what we value most, that once we get clear on what we value most, that we'll find peace. And that peace will bring us the abundance that we seek. That it's not just believing in God, right? But it's believing in yourself, because you're as close to you as your jugular vein. Just let that sit for a minute, And I was like, okay, well, How come I wasn't taught about the law of attraction in church? Because this is about the law of attraction. This is about the law of vibration. This is about the law of oneness. How about, why wasn't I taught that the reason why I'm in a hurry is because I'm afraid of life passing me by? So I'm in a hurry and I'm ambiguous and I'm fluffy and I'm not specific and I don't talk about the things that I actually need because there's stuff down buried deeper than the unprocessed emotions. That these painful experiences are actually what have me in a hurry. It's these painful experiences that I'm running from, that I'm not running toward any end result. Why was I taught that we have to go someplace in order to find ourselves? We read the same books and over again, and we're taught by the masses who are indoctrinated that, every other book other than the books that were approved are blasphemous. However, we gain insight when we can look outside and see the everyday practical application of that which we are learning. Why wasn't I taught that when we are confronted with the fears, these blocks to abundance, that we need to release them so that we are fully present in our heart? And in this present moment is where we actually shift our awareness. Why weren't we taught that? And what can we do about that now? Why were we taught the what if game? What if we just stopped? What if we started asking questions? What if we started asking questions? What if we were sitting in the pews, in the circles, in the chairs, on the floors, against the walls? What if we asked, so what do we do with the experiences that we failed to assimilate in our life? What do we do with that? Would we get kicked out? Propaganda type of conversations? Would we get shunned? What if we raised our hand and said, how do I stop these painful experiences from lingering in my life anymore? What if we actually got up the courage to ask, I have unprocessed emotions that are coming out. I'm abusing myself, my family, my children, my friends, my coworkers, but I'm abusing myself because I have unprocessed emotions. I'm told to get the anger out, then I'm reprimanded for the anger leaving my body. But then I'm reprimanded not only by myself, only by others, but also by myself. Like why weren't we taught in church that we're our own devil? That we allow other people's thoughts, feelings, and limiting beliefs to indoctrinate themselves and embed themselves in our core thinking. And that not only are we dealing with our unprocessed emotions, but we're dealing with the unprocessed emotions of others that we can't articulate in ourselves because they don't belong to us. They're not ours, but we have them. And we can't unprocess our emotions. We can't allow the painful experience to disconnect from our emotions so that we can allow it to move through, so that we can assimilate it and quote unquote let it go, because we're still attempting to run off of this thought process that was given to us by someone that doesn't know our journey. Because look, we're all adults. We are all adults, but we're still running off of this programming from our childhood, and we're sitting in these places that don't talk about any of that. And we're angry. We're angry that we're unfulfilled spiritually. And we're sad. And we're indecisive. And we worry. And we gamble with our future every single day. Because we doubt. And we're overcautious. Like, have you noticed that? And I'm just going to, because we're talking about the painful experiences and the experiences that we haven't assimilated, that we weren't taught, that our leaders didn't articulate this to us. I spent more time looking at the negative side of every circumstance, thinking and talking of the possible failures of every idea, instead of concentrating upon the means of succeeding in that idea. I knew all the roads to disaster, and I bet you do too. But we never search for a plan to avoid failure. We were just waiting for the quote unquote right time to put ideas and plans into action. But we weren't taught that in that waiting, it became a habit. We remember those failures, and we remember those people who failed. We remember all of those moments where people did not succeed. And we conveniently forget about those who did succeed, because those who succeeded were out of our sphere of awareness. It wasn't tangible. They were just an anomaly. They were an anomaly, if you will. And so, because of these painful experiences and these unprocessed emotions, we remember every failure, because we failed to be at peace. We failed to have harmony in our lives. We failed to have this relationship with God that we were promised, that we would be living heaven on earth. Or were we even taught to live heaven on earth? Were we taught that? No, I don't think I was taught that. I learned that a little bit after the fact. We were taught to see the hole in the donut, but we always overlooked the donut itself. We were taught to be pessimistic. We were taught to have poor elimination of everything. We were taught auto intoxication, and we were taught bad disposition. We were taught this. Spiritually, we were taught this. We were taught to procrastinate, and we were taught to fail, because we were not given the formula in which to articulate the experiences and to allow them to disconnect from our right now. We were not taught to move forward in a progressive way within ourselves, to be so totally present in our own bodies. And I have to go back. We were not taught to be as close to us as our own jugular vein. We were not taught. So now we're adults. When are we going to stand up inside of ourselves, sit in our own bodies, and push out these experiences, these unprocessed emotions, these painful reoccurrences? Because it's not on the pastor anymore. It's not on our mothers and it's not on our fathers. It's not on the first grade teacher and it's not on the first ex or the second ex or the third ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. It's not on them anymore. So why are they still in our minds, assisting us in directing how we should go? And as a matter of fact, some of these people in our mind are not even assisting us. They are directing where we need to go, because we're still, those thoughts in our heads, those doubts belong to them. Every time you have an idea, and you're like, this is it. I love it. I got goosebumps. This is it. And then your daddy comes in your head, your mama comes in, your auntie, your cousins, your sisters say you can't do it, you shouldn't do it. Why are you doing it? You don't know how to do it. How do you think you're going to make that happen? And then now you're upset. And before you can even get it out on paper, before you can even walk out the door and tell the world, this is it, this is me, you've already taken that emotion and stuffed it down deeper on top of the other emotion and the other emotion. Do you know that you're hoarding emotions? Why didn't they teach us that in church? That we're hoarders of emotions. That we can get on a call and thank you, Jesus, and have these, we can talk in tongues. We can make salat like a Muslim. And then we can beat our children. We can smoke our way to death. We can overeat. We can want to just slice our own wrists sometimes. And it's all going on in our head. You're sitting at home watching television. You're sitting at home. You're sitting in your car, pulled over somewhere. You're at work on break. And you're listening to this. And you're at home. You're not with anybody else. And everything is going on in your mind. I'm not telling you to go and ask for all of your tithes back. All of your tithes and offerings, like, you know what, Pastor, I need a refund of all my tithes and offerings that I've given you over the last 20 years. Because this, what you talking, it ain't working. I'm still struggling internally. I'm still struggling physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I'm still unhappy in my life. I'm overweight. I'm overburdened. You know, I'm not telling you to do that. What I am saying, though, what I am saying is that at some point in time, my friends, we got to stand up for ourselves. We got to stand up in our own minds. We got to stand up to the people that have taken up residence in our own mind. And I'm going to tell you now, you're not going to be able to do it by yourself, because you didn't get indoctrinated by yourself. All of those doubts, all of those fears, all of those inconsistencies, all of that, all of those painful experiences and unprocessed emotions, you didn't do that by yourself. So why do you think that you can do it all by yourself right now. Because you weren't taught how to do it by yourself. And you weren't really taught how to do it with someone else. So that's what I've dedicated my time and my life to. Helping you to establish that deep, intimate relationship with yourself so that you can process the emotions, move them out of your body so that you can unpack those painful experiences, unpack them. And the dirty clothes are the emotions attached to the experience, and the clean clothes are when you detach the emotion from the experience. And so I'm here to help you to unpack and then separate the emotion from the experience. And then to be able to articulate your exact truth, the exact thing that you really specifically want to do, that you have anxiety in your body, that your body's so tense because you really want that to come out. Everything that you want to do, like how come you can get so far and then run right into that glass wall? You didn't even see it. You can almost taste success and abundance. But something happens and you always have to start over. Well, I'm going to give you insight. You don't want to start over again. Because every time you start over, you get a little bit older. A little more time passes. And then what's going to kick in is the fear of life. That is passing, quote unquote, passing you by. Now you're hurrying to be successful, to live out this dream that you haven't yet to live out. One thing you have to do is, you're going to have to call me, or you're going to have to call somebody so that we can help you unpack those painful experiences. The other thing we have to do is, one, you have to be ready and willing in your body to process the emotions that haven't gone anywhere, and to process all of them. Every single one that you've been hoarding inside of you, that's deep in those crevices, and bring light to all of those areas. And so that you can live in the present moment where you can shift what you want, shift what you're seeing into what you desire to see. Changing those blocks into flowing rivers of abundance. Don't second guess yourself anymore. You don't need to do that. You don't need to listen to other people second guessing you in your own mind. You can actually shift yourself inside of your own body in a different direction. I can't stand by any longer and allow you all to pass on this road and I say, wait, hold on, sister, hold on, brother. Listen, you don't need to carry that anymore. You can actually unpack it. And then show you, because a lot of you all are you actually don't know exactly where it is stored in your body. You're like, I don't even know where to begin, Ramiya. Well, let's sit down, let's have a cup of tea, and let's start at the beginning. The beginning, my friends, is right now. Don't hesitate, don't wait. The beginning is right now. So, you know where to find me. This is Ramiya Ingram, your spiritual clarity doula. We're all on the path to spiritual growth and development. We're all evolving. Peace and blessings.